Want you to know just how I'm feeling, though I never wanted you another way. But baby, it's been on my mind, and you know my face can't hide it. So take my hand and hear me when I say, don't you know that I'll be there for you, with a love to get you through the night, yeah. And I'll be there for you when everything is out of sight. You got it, baby. One more time, you got to get it right and walk it by this life with you. And honey, if you die, then I'ma get you by. But come on, baby, die.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 79 of the Adam Makes Beer Industry Pro podcast. Today, I'm excited to be chatting with Maalik Stark of Zeroday Brewing. Just a couple things of news before we get rolling. I'm going to be at the OCBA conference, that is for the Ohio Craft Brewers Association, January 26th through 28th in beautiful Dayton, Ohio. Register for it. I will be talking and attending. I was going to be doing a talk that I just did at the Pennsylvania Brewers of Pennsylvania conference symposium, but I'm switching it up. I'm going to be doing a recipe writing talk there. You're going to want to check it out. So if you're in Ohio, sign up for that thing. Also, check out adammakesbeer.com. It's live, it's real, and it's fantastic. If you need any of the services, the things I do, any consult, marketing stuff, let me know. Hit me up. Content form is right on there. Starting a brewery is a big step. Blickman Engineering is here to help. Since 2006, they've equipped hundreds of nano breweries for success. Their new 3.5 barrel Pro Surface electric brewing system cuts maintenance and saves at least 30 minutes per brew day with powerful under kettle heating. From 1 to 15 barrel brew houses to keg washers and grain mills, Blickman has what you need. Ready to go pro? Contact Phil or Tom at proseries@blickmanengineering.com. Blickman Engineering is a proud sponsor of this channel and loves to help brewers at every stage of their journey. Hey to everybody in the chat. Welcome. Make sure to drop your questions as we go through it, as we talk with today's guest, Maalik Stark. Maalik is a brewer from Zeroday Brewing Company. He's been in the brewing profession for almost 2 years, all spent at Zeroday, but have been a part of the team since 2021. He got into brewing close to a decade ago when one of his best friends got a homebrew kit and convinced him to spend his weekends in the scalding heat and humidity of Alabama brewing over a propane burner. Maalik, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. I can't apologize. No. Of course I was going to bring it up. Of course I was going to bring it up.
You didn't have to bring it up.
No,
so,
but I had to. I had to.
So we are getting rolling a little bit later. We had our wires crossed with the start time, and it all works out. But I do think it's funny that we've had our first face-to-face interaction was my bad, because I got to the Brewers of Pennsylvania symposium. It was a great time. If you're brewing in that general area next year and you were not here this year, you need to be there. So anyways, I get to the conference. They have a brewers panel first thing, and I'm checking this out. Maalik is up there. Seems like a really nice dude. And so after, I don't know anybody. Like, I had met your coworker Hannah by doing the pod with her, and then I didn't really know anybody else, and so I started talking to you. You know what I mean? I'm like, well, he's on the panel, he seems nice. So we're talking probably like on and off, like over the course of like 2 hours. And then I mentioned that I made, like the content that I do online and stuff. And you're like, yeah, I've seen it. And he's like, well, we follow each other on Instagram. And then I felt embarrassed, because it's hard to know everybody that you're in contact with. You know what I mean? When it's just the internet. And then you said, we're in the fantasy football league together. We played each other last week. And so that was, and then you're like, I thought that's why we were hanging out or something along those lines.
No, that was definitely it. I don't expect people to come up to me. Like, I don't expect people to just talk to me at all. I figured that was the only reason why. I was just like, oh, that's the guy from that's whatever my fantasy football name is. I thought that's what you were talking to me for. But I was like, oh, that's cool.
I had no idea. I'm just so naturally friendly. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's
well, and so conferences like that are funny for me because I do like the online stuff, and so sometimes you end up connecting with somebody online, but I try to not use like Instagram as like a two-way system. For me, I try to make it one way because it's so easy to lose time and everything else goes along with it when you're interacting on those platforms. So a lot of times I'm just kind of, I'm just putting content out or whatever. But yeah, so, and then we hung out throughout the weekend, and it was a good time, man. It was a good time.
Yeah, that was sick. Like the entire thing was awesome too. Like not just that interaction of like talking to someone. What is this, week 10?
It is. Yeah. And I'm realizing, speaking of football, I'm realizing I'm still wearing my Lions t-shirt. I'm doing a Lions podcast now. I did remember to take down the Lions flag that I have behind me to do this one because I did that stream this morning. But yeah, man. Yeah. So it was a good time. It was a lot of fun. I've never been to Harrisburg. That was my first time being there. And I know you've kind of lived some different places. How long have you been in Harrisburg?
I've been in Harrisburg since 2017. Yeah.
Okay.
And honestly, if this is the last place I'll live, I'm okay with that.
And what do you like about it?
I think that being so close to everything, especially like Harrisburg specifically, not just Pennsylvania itself, but I can go to Baltimore and come back in the same day. I can go to Philly and come back in the same day.
Yeah.
If I'm really pushing it, New York or Pittsburgh, the same thing. I can go back in the same day if I want to. But I think just being that close to everything, like the last town that I lived in Alabama, I was only close to Atlanta. And that was an hour and a half, which is like my distance from Baltimore or Philly, or give or take. But yeah, there's just a lot more major cities around here, and a lot more like cool things to do, awesome things to do. Yeah.
What brought you to Harrisburg originally?
I don't know. Like I was dating someone, and
yes.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm a guy, so like obviously, like we're done. Like whatever that's worth. Like it's the truth. I'm not ashamed of that. But I think I don't know, like in the area is what made me stay. So I feel like that's the most important part of that.
For sure.
Yeah. I still
and then, job wise, what were you doing when you first got there?
I was a merchandiser for Home Depot. Like I worked at Home Depot when I was in Alabama, and I was in like shipping, receiving, and an opening came up for like a merchandising thing up here, and I was like, oh, we hate those guys. Like they don't do anything. They line up stuff, and I was like, oh well, there's an opening up here where I want to be at, so like I might as well go there. No, it was all right.
Yeah.
It got me where I wanted to be, and I don't know if I'd be brewing if I didn't. So
sure. It's always interesting how those things fall together, and there's a couple of interesting things as we were getting to know each other. So even before all that, you were on like the banking side. You're a math guy. Were you a math major? I'm trying to remember.
I got into banking after moving here. Like I had applied for like bank jobs when I was still living in the South, but I just didn't know that something about math and banking was gonna like click for me. I guess I needed to have that hands-on experience before I actually went to school and tried to focus on that.
Sure.
Yeah. I worked at a bank for about 4 or 5 years. I think I stepped away from it in 2021, 2022, something around that time.
Yeah. So the other thing that you told me that was atypical, at least atypical, and I'll also say something that it's not jealous of, but it's something I have a tremendous amount of respect for, is you do stand-up comedy as well.
Yeah.
And how long have you been doing that? When's the first time you got on stage?
First time I got on stage was probably maybe the end of June 2012.
Okay.
Horrible. I was awful. I was so
bad. Is there a
Oh.
correlation between the first time on stage and the first beer that you make at home? Are there any corollaries there or not?
I think that whenever it comes to beer, the first beer that you make at home, you are following a guideline.
Yeah.
Like you're following a style. It's hard to put yourself in that whenever it's coming to like doing comedy, because you're like, no, everything I say is funny. But like, you can't say like every beer I make is good because you've never made beer before. So like maybe that's the difference between it. But like still same level of confidence.
Yeah.
it's still probably not good.
Well, the thing that's always, because there's a buddy of mine that he's always encouraging me to like try to put together like a minute, 5 minutes, something to do something open mic. And it's because I love making people laugh. And I really, really enjoy that stuff, but it's such an intimidating thing. I think there's plenty of people that have said, oh, that would be cool to give a try. But how do you get over the hump on it? I mean, first of all, were people telling you, hey, you should try stand up? Or was that something you cooked up yourself? What was that process like?
I think that, well, to the point of like, if anyone ever told me I should do it, almost no one told me that I should. No.
In fact, people only told me the opposite. They're like, listen, stay as far away from the mic as you can. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's just
But like whenever, like I said, I did that whenever I graduated in 2012, and the moment I turned 18, I tried it. So like it was that following week after I turned 18 is whenever I got on stage for the first time. And me and my close friends, like we always watched comedy. So it was like a thing of like, this guy's cool. I think he's funny. I understand why this stuff is funny. I should go try it. That was the thing. It wasn't like a thing of people saying like you're just naturally funny. No, it wasn't. And I don't think anything's wrong with that. But like after a while, whenever you like start understanding why things are funny, or like why you think things are funny, is like the most important part. Like that helps you gain that confidence of like, maybe I should try this. But yeah.
So in some ways, like you benefited from like that vigor of youth, man, because at 18, like the fear that I don't know, I feel like at this stage in my life, like I failed so many times. It's like all that does is reinforce the fact that maybe I should be trying something else. But when you're young, you're just like, wow, let's just see what happens.
I mean, I think that's true, but at the same time, I didn't do that consistently. Like there was a time where I probably bombed too many times where I was like, I'm gonna give up. And I took a very, very long gap, and then I got back into it after I moved to Pennsylvania. So like I think that's the thing. But like understanding that like, everything's not gonna hit. Everything isn't going to, but I think just liking it makes you want to like stick around and try again.
Sure. What was it like? Was there differences playing to a Southern crowd as opposed to a Harrisburg crowd?
I don't think I knew enough at the time whenever I was doing it down there. I think it was more so like I like the people who are also doing this around me. That like I'm not even in tune with like, oh, was that actually good? Did I bomb or anything like that. Like I knew that I bombed, but like I didn't know where to take that. Like I didn't know what to work on it. I was more like enthused by like the hangout of like the people who are better than me who are doing stuff. And same here. It's probably the same way, but I actually like to get booked on shows, like you have to work on stuff. So probably the better shows, the more people come out, the more like the better people around you at the same time. So to stay in that kind of circle, like you need to be good to be there. So
go ahead?
No, I was just gonna say that's the difference, but that's also like me 10 years older than I was, or 12 years older than I was, like at this point. So
do you feel as if like the experience that you've gotten through doing stand-up has helped, like, I don't know, like either from a risk standpoint or just from like a mental toughness standpoint, something like that, like taking on a different challenge? Because going from the banking side of things, kind of the ordering logistical side of things maybe, and then on into the brewing side of things, do you feel as if that experience on the comedy side has helped you?
I think so, a little bit. And it's probably helped me in ways that I don't know how to define right now, because I'm usually like the person that will like just listen to what everyone has to say. And if I have something to chime in, like I usually won't do that. So I think back to like the confidence part, even if it's something that I only believe in at a certain point, that definitely helps, because usually I can hear an idea that I don't agree with and just be like, all right, we'll see how it works, even though I have like an idea that I'm more than positive I've thought about a lot. And I won't speak up about it. So I think just literally just speaking up like that has helped me. I don't know if I like being able to tell jokes in front of a bunch of strangers, not knowing how they're going to take it, to like being able to speak up in front of a group of people who all have the same like direction as you. I think that's a little bit easier.
No, I think it's really interesting. And again, I think I do think it's because to me it seems like such a high risk thing. Now, granted, we're just talking about like high risk socially, right? But I can tell you this. I remember every time I made a joke and it didn't land and it made the public situation very awkward. Okay. Like I remember, and I still have feelings about it. Okay. So I have a lot of respect for that. And I also think it's interesting too, like, because at times where I have like tried to think about, okay, how would I construct something like that? How would I construct a minute or 5 minutes or whatever? It starts to become humbling, because I can make my friends laugh. You know what I mean? And I have stories that they think are funny, but when you actually start talking about trying to like build something, there's structure to it, and there's other things like that. And I just think it's really fascinating. I just think it's really fascinating. How often do you get up on stage?
I've been lazy the past like month.
Okay.
If it's not a show or some type of competition, I haven't been around, like I said, maybe a month, but that's starting to change. Things are starting to slow down for me a little bit, so I can get out a little bit more. But at one point, like 3 times a week, 4 times a week, weekends, like I don't know, as much as I can physically.
How does the brewing schedule fit with that? Because in some of our conversations, it sounds like you can be a relatively early riser.
Oh yeah, it fits perfectly because I can go home and crash for maybe 5 hours, and if it's 4 o'clock whenever I get up, I know, all right, I got an hour before I need to be in, and I can just do that. I mean, as I'm getting older, getting heavier, that's it's starting to weigh on me a little bit more. But
Well, for me, I know I just got heavier with age. Like I right now, there's no sunlight anymore. I feel like it's like those things where you're like watching a documentary about, somebody in Alaska and there's just no sun anymore. That's how I start to feel after the whole like fall daytime savings thing or whatever. And I'm getting to the point where, and I know that I'm doing it, but I just know I'm eating myself out of the clothes that I'm currently wearing. You know what I mean? Some things are just going in the closet and being like, I'll see you next summer. And we're not even talking shorts. You know what I mean? It's just, it's not working out well. So talk to me a little bit about how you got connected with Zeroday.
I applied to Zeroday while I was still working for a bank. I was like, I need something. Like, I need to like leave here and like have fun. And they were hiring for a bartender, and it was a brewery. I had been there once before, in like the peak of like COVID-19, like the peak of the pandemic. And I saw that and I was like, oh yeah, like that works perfectly. And Pennsylvania went under a shutdown, and I ended up getting a call back maybe 3 months later, and I was like, no, I'm still very interested. Please, like, let me come work there. Started bartending.
Do you have bartending experience before that?
Yeah, I bartended a little in Georgia, Alabama. I usually joke with owner of Zeroday, Theo. I tell him that was the last school I graduated from, was bartending school in Atlanta, which is 100% true.
For sure.
But yeah, like I started bartending there and stepped away for a little while, and then came back maybe 2023, started managing, and then brewery position opened up, and I was like, I called Theo immediately. I was like, do you think that I can come over there? Like, I think that's cool. Like, even like onboarding during the orientation and all that stuff, like I just always talk to him about beer, and like actually loved it. Like I love beer, like regardless of knowing how to make it at the time. I was like, I like drinking it, so I want to know why I like drinking it. So
what was some of the beer that really kind of like turned you on to craft beer?
Ooh, it was Dragon's Milk.
Michigan beer.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's New Holland, right? Am I right?
Yeah, it's New Holland. Yeah. Absolutely.
Escoveza, Terrapins, Moohoo, and they had a coffee series at Terrapin. I can't remember the name of it.
I don't remember off the top either.
But it was like almost the same beer, but they added different coffees in it.
Sure.
And it was all dark beer, and I really fell in love with that. And also Tucker. That was one of the first ones I had. And I feel like I have to throw out there Woodchuck, the hard sign. Yeah, that was, I probably still have probably 15 or 20 like of those like Woodchuck cups. From like that they would pass out everywhere that had their beer.
Well, I mean, that was I remember when I was in college. So I was in Southeast Ohio, and so there we could afford Schaefer Light. That was kind of the day-to-day beer. I'd never even heard of Schaefer before. That must be somewhat local, but Schaefer Light, I think. Now, granted, this was you maybe weren't alive when this was happening, but it was like a $3.99 6-pack or whatever. But if we were getting fancy, it would be Woodchuck. It would be there's a Honey Brown. I don't even know who made Honey Brown, but it was just like some mass. It was like, it's just some Honey Brown or whatever, like a Newcastle. Sometimes if we were getting crazy, or the Bats, stuff like that. Yeah. But yeah, and I know for me, I was always amazed by, especially like Belgian beers, bigger, stronger beers, that beer can be as strong as it is, especially when you're used to drinking all like the 4.2 stuff and whatever, when you're younger and whatnot. So when did you start like getting into like what age range with the craft beer stuff for you?
Freshly 21. Like, well, I won't say freshly. Like, I think like towards the colder months of like being 21, And it makes sense because like, that's whenever the dragon's milk and the stone
Sure.
excavates, we're
Yeah.
like ran out. No, I mean, whenever I turned 21, that's pretty much it. I mean, Oktoberfest, like Samuel Adams Oktoberfest, was still considered craft by a lot of people. So like
Absolutely.
that was for a long time, that was my favorite Oktoberfest in the entire world.
Sure.
Until I started finding like craft breweries like Zeroday and other places that make them, and it's like, no, but you should try this. Like this is like what you're looking for. So,
and is that some of the type of stuff that when you were homebrewing with your buddy, were you kind of trying to mimic some of those like darker beers, higher ABV beers, or were you going another direction there?
We would try like a couple different things. Like I'm pretty sure the first thing that we made was a clone of I can't remember who made it. I don't think it was Brooklyn Beer, their brown ale. I think it was a nut brown from somewhere. And I can't remember the name of the brewery of it, but like, yeah, we loved that beer so much that we went out and like found like a chest freezer to put a keg in. Just so that we didn't like have to put priming sugar in the bottles because we wanted it to taste just like that and always have it on tap. So like, no, like, yeah, mostly like the darker beers. We made a session. We probably only homebrewed 7 times.
Okay, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
And one of those times being like brewing a bag from like Northern Brewer. So like
yeah
6 times all great.
The brew in a bag stuff started happening after I was out of the homebrew scene, and that was all very new to me. It's crazy. I don't know some of the changes that happened on the homebrew side and whatever, even equipment wise, but yeah, so you homebrewed a few times in the past. You ended up getting an opportunity in the brewery there at Zeroday. How has your palate changed? What beers do you feel as if you're appreciating on a different level now that you're making beer for a living?
I think I can appreciate lagers a little bit more. Like I think
how so?
Like just I think making a lager and making sure that all those steps are the best way that they can be, and like all that work that goes into it definitely affects like maybe whenever I like drink like a darker beer, I'm not like, oh man, this beer tastes clean because there's so much like other stuff going into it. But like having a lager from any brewery around here and being like, oh, this tastes clean. Like I can appreciate that because that's not easy. Like you really have to be attentive to like every step of the way. And before I was just like, no, give me stouts, give me all the dark beer, the malty stuff. And I'm not saying people do this, and I don't think that most people do. I think all the care goes in the same exact way, but like it's so noticeable in like a lighter lager that like if you don't taste anything, that means they really paid attention to it.
Sure. How big a part of are lagers to what Zeroday has going
on? I think that we don't do a lot of them, which is that doesn't mean that it just gets thrown by the wayside at the same time. Like that still gets the same amount of attention that we do to any other beer that we make. Still wants it to be good. Like it's still like super important to us.
What's the favorite lager that you have on that you guys make?
Oh, dark lager for sure. Yeah. That's I brought a can down, probably more than one can down with me to do this. Like it's my favorite one. I mean,
What do you like about the style?
That maltiness, the roastiness, like I think that a lot of not a lot, but like there is like a tweak made to it the second go around that like definitely like kind of balances out, like rounds it off a little bit more. And it was still like so many people will say that's their favorite lager and that's their favorite beer from us. But like I think that this really sends it over the edge as far as like the overall flavor of the beer right now.
Sure. It's such a good feeling, especially when you're working with a beer that is subtle. And I think sometimes people, and I get people can be excited about brewing whatever it is that they want. But for me, especially when I moved to the Cincinnati area and I started to do a lot more lager, that's always the pet project. And we were doing a rice lager at the time. And I think I would just disappoint so many people when you're doing a tour or you're talking to a guest or whatnot, and they want to know, what you're most excited about with what you're brewing. And it's like the least interesting beer. One, because it's where you're going to be showing people what the brew house has going on. You know what I mean? In a beer that light, everything is going to show, obviously. But those are the beers that I really love digging into, because it is so much. Everything is processed, but that process is going to show so much more in those lighter beers. So you are bartending at Zeroday, and then you get in over on the production side. Talk to me a little bit about that growth curve, what the training was like.
Dude, I was so overwhelmed. I literally thought I was never gonna get it. I was like, oh man, like I might have broke, like me moving to like trying to learn how to make beer. I was like, oh, I just put in my 2 weeks notice like a year before I needed to do it, because I didn't think I was gonna be good at it, or like even like catch the curve of like learning it, because like the brew house looked like a spaceship the first time that I saw it.
Okay. So this was my question. So what was it? Was it that it was intimidating? Were the processes daunting? Because I think what you're saying, first of all, it's important to say, because I think sometimes people have a hard time talking about what was difficult to learn about something, or what was hard about working through a situation, and it is intimidating. So was it just the scope of the equipment, things like that?
Yeah, the scope of the equipment, the amount of just like what Theo and Hannah, everyone that worked in the brewery already knew, and like trying to get up to that kind of standard of like, all right, I'm up here with you all now. Like now everything that you're saying to me doesn't sound like a foreign language. Like I just never thought that I was going to be able to get it. And I don't know, just going there every day and like paying attention, and like, I don't know, maybe brewing is a job that you don't have to care about, but I don't understand that part of it.
Sure.
If I didn't care about it, I promise you I'd suck at it. I would be fired.
Yes.
There's no way that I could be good at it.
Yeah.
But no, I just think that everything just seemed like so much. I was like, I don't understand an ounce of this. Like I could point at kegs. I learned how to use the keg washer, and I was like, oh, I can do this. Can I make a career out of like cleaning kegs for the next like 10 or 15 years? But as far as like making wort, figuring out like what's going on in the fermentation process, understanding that difference, to taking it to the cold side of like carbonation, canning, kegging off of a bright, anything like that. Like I never thought that I thought it was going to take me way longer. I didn't think by now I would still be at a point where I could probably go in and figure out what needs to be done, because it seemed like so much.
It's so good that you're talking about, because like I said, I think there's a lot of people listening that either have recently been in that space, are in that space now. What were the things that kind of pulled you through that? What's the thing that got you from that place where you were intimidated to where things started to fall into place?
I think like grasping on to something that makes sense, and being able to be like, this is what makes sense to me. I'm going to have to ask questions about everything else, and not being afraid to ask those questions. Because like, I don't know, like setting out grain at the beginning was like a big part for me, where I was like, all right, we're making beer. today. We're making work today. I know how to like layer stuff because we're still like milling right into the mash. Like I was just like, I can read this recipe and know exactly what every grain is.
Yeah.
Like stage all of that. Like it was that part of it for me, and like the temperatures and like the times, like that made sense. But going to the other side of like, all right, this is I didn't know what the word attenuation was for a very long time before brewing. I didn't know what that was.
Yeah.
So like it was a lot of technical stuff, but like I don't know. I wasn't afraid to ask questions, even if I had to ask it every day.
Yeah, that's a big one. That's a big one. Who did you train with the most? What was it with Theo? Was it with Hannah?
It was probably 75% Hannah, 25 Theo. Yeah.
What were some things that they did that made the process easier for you?
Hannah was more so like, this is not routine, not regimen, but she was like, this is the process. Like I knew I could, like, there was one part of my brain that worked fit for that. And then Theo was like, yeah, but like, unless you're in the rhythm of it, like it's not going to make sense to you. So like, that was a whole nother aspect of it. Like you can't just go in and be robotic and just be like, I follow directions. Like you have to have like both sides of that. So like the combination of both was so helpful for me.
Sure. And there's no better feeling. And I remember going from brew house to brew house because I've worked for several different breweries, and I'm not somebody that just walks in and looks at a brew house and I know where all the pathways are going and I just understand it intuitively, right? I actually have to get my hands on the equipment. And I'll say to the point where the last brewery that I worked at, everything was automated, and the whole brew deck, it was a mash tun, lauter, and then kettle. And it was up on a big stand, and all the pathways were underneath. All the valves were automatic. And it was hard for me because I'm used to putting hands on valves, and this valve opens up this much and I can see things. And like, I'm a very visual, tactile person. And when all those things were removed and it was just a screen, it was difficult, even though I had been making beer professionally for 12, 13 years at that point. You know what I mean? Getting onto the brew house was a challenge. And I like kind of that two-prong type approach, because I found that when I am training people or I'm learning on someone else's system, just focusing on the process can get me to the point to where I'm functional. But the other portion of it is getting into the flow of it and understanding those things. That's when you can like level up. That's when you get to the point to where you have those brew days where it's like where Neo realizes finally he is in the matrix, and then he just breathes it in and stuff. Yeah, I love that. That's like it's one of the best feelings. Like when you just have like that bond with the brew house, you know, all the sounds, all the smells, all the noises, and it's just rolling. It's mastering the brew house you're working on is such a good feeling. How long did it take for you to kind of hit that spot? And I understand there's always kind of additional levels up, but how long did it take you when you were turning wort to like feel good about what you were doing and even like enjoy the process?
I think I brewed a batch 100% solo after 6 months. So maybe a year in.
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
6 months after that. Like maybe a year in is whenever I was just like, all right, I think I got this now.
Sure.
I hope we don't get a new brew house, but like I think I got it.
Yeah.
Like as of right now, I think I got it.
Yeah. I love it. No, and I do think I think it's important for people to be patient with themselves, because when you don't have that, you can get frustrated with it. Did you find that you were impatient with yourself at all through that process, or is that not really how your personality works?
I'm pretty patient when it comes to like most things.
Mm-hmm.
With myself, I'm a little impatient whenever it
Mm-hmm.
comes to like learning stuff.
Yeah.
That took me a little while because I thought that like once I got it, I was going to be able to just like run with it. But there was still so much I didn't know. There was still
Yeah.
so much I probably learned in the last month and a half that
Mm-hmm.
has like changed like my entire scope of like brewing and stuff like that, of being able to approach certain things in a certain way and know what to look for. So yeah, no, I think I'm getting more patient the
Yeah.
longer I keep brewing and the longer I'm
Sure.
in this industry.
Sure. There's a question from Lizard Brews on Instagram. They want to know what kind of unitanks or fermenters do you guys have? Do you know what brand your tanks or your system is? I think the brew house was ABS.
Yeah, the brew house is for sure ABS. We have a few different ones.
Yeah.
We've gotten a few different ones throughout the years of like
Yep.
Zeroday being open. So I have zero clue.
Yeah.
Specifically.
Yeah, no, and a lot of times people kind of end up going mix and match on the seller side of things. Kind of as you're growing, you find those deals. When I was at the last brewery I was at, Sonder, we picked up a 120 from somewhere that had been stored outside for a really long time, and we had to really clean the hell out of it. But yeah, typically that's the thing. Moving that in, I don't know, like I am not watching people move a vessel like that in. It just scares me. Like
Really?
that's not and maybe I don't know if I was the kid that was like really into like the construction toys and stuff like that. But dude, watching them like roll the tank in and then stand it up and put it into place, all I can imagine is that I'm going to do something wrong. I'm going to destroy this tank. I'm going to destroy this brewery. Oh, everything like that. So yeah.
No, that's the fun part. Like that's real fun.
So this actually makes me interested because we had a little conversation about canning, and you guys are canning beer over there at Zeroday. And off the top of my head, I'm trying to. Is that a micro canner that you're running?
Yeah, it's a micro canner.
Yeah, and how many head filler is it?
3 head filler.
Yep. 3 head filler. Yeah, and we talked about various approaches and how people deal with the canning line. I have seen my fair share of rage. I have displayed my fair share of rage. I remember when I was at Cartridge, we had this, I'm not gonna say the brand, but we had this wild canning line. Okay, so first of all, I moved to Cincinnati for a new brewery that was supposed to be brew pub only, no packaging. I would not have moved my family for a job with the canning line. I'll just tell you that right now. I'm going for a place where I'm putting I'm putting wort into a fermenter, I'm transferring beer to a bright, and I'm putting in kegs, and that's where the beer lives. That's a job I would move for. But next thing you know, I get down here and a canner shows up. Okay. Oh. So what was I pleased? No, but it is what it is. So anyways, I mean, we have this big, ridiculous canner. It's not going well. And I remember at one point I had two people working for me, Josh and Maggie, and I talk about them all the time on the channel. I love them. They're dear friends of mine, like in real life, not just like work friends or whatever. And I did not show my best side. Okay. I said some things that maybe I don't typically say at a volume at which I don't typically say it, with bass that I don't typically use. And Maggie ended up saying to me at the end of the day, once things had cooled off, she was like, yeah, Josh and I were looking at each other like Dad's mad. and canning can bring that out of you. You know what I mean? But I remember talking with you a little bit. And canning can always be frustrating, but with the way your mind works, how did figuring out the canning line and everything like that go as somebody that was kind of newer into the brewery?
I would assume that like most people want to go into things calm.
Yeah.
And that's how I was at the beginning until I started operating the canning line.
So there's a bit of a philosophical shift.
Yeah. So it's a little different. Like whenever you're doing pack out on the canning line, it's very easy to say, hey, just be calm. You're not wet. Cans aren't exploding on you. So you have a different approach. You have a different understanding of like the frustration that's going on. But like your socks are wet, your hands are, your shirt's wet in the front. Like that takes a little bit of a different type of anger out of you.
It'll change a man.
Yeah, it'll change.
No, it's true. And so yeah, how was canning once you got past like the pack off side? How well did you take to making your tweaks, working with the seamer? Because it sounds like from a hands-on standpoint, that's different than some of the stuff that you've done in the past.
It was pretty difficult. Like I can approach things the right way in the sense of like I don't want to make anything worse.
Yeah.
So like that's usually my motivation of like, all right,
kind of like the do no harm.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah.
Like I don't want to make this worse, so like I'm gonna try to be very, very calm. I'm gonna try to be patient. I'm gonna try not to rip out a header, like anything like that. Like whatever. I don't want to hurt myself also. So like that's the thing. So like just like taking a step back and approaching it from all right, this is what it's actually doing. Like it might look like, oh, the can just exploded out of nowhere, so it must be like a ghost or magic or something like that. Like it's like it might be going up too high, it might not be in the right positioning, like that kind of thing. And like that made sense to me.
Yeah.
But I can say that today, and if I have to can tomorrow, I'm still gonna be like, maybe we should just keg all of them. We're gonna look for other options.
Well, and for me, what I realized that I do over the years is I wind myself up even when I'm excited to do something. So like if I'm going somewhere, I'm excited to go, I'm going to be a wreck like the night before, like getting ready for it or whatever. Or even if people are coming over, like if I'm going to get together with people, like I'm wound up ahead of time. I'm like, what am I doing? And I have definitely brought that energy to the brewery, and it's one of those things that you have to kind of like actively try to step back from, especially when like you're the person that has to get things done. You know what I mean? Like whether it be a legit leadership thing or a thing where you're just responsible for something. So yeah, I can see that that's an area that I've dropped the ball on situations like that, just coming in already like, you mentioned when we were talking at the conference, I think you said that you like Bill Burr. And one of the things his wife maybe asked him, why is he already up here? And he's like, I idle at like 100 or whatever it is. Like he's or whatever the number was, but like that's where he stays, and then you can go above it. You know what I mean? But yeah, I've been guilty. I've been guilty of that myself, plenty in the brew house. So where do you feel as if from like a brewer's development standpoint you are right now? So do you like your level of confidence with the brew house, with the canning line, recipe creation, different things like that? Where do you feel as if you're at in that process?
So I think that whatever, I'll say it in all the parts. The canning line, I think that I'm a novice. I don't think that anyone's an expert at the canning line because there are so many things that you can't control that can go wrong. To anyone listening, I hope that you're not near a canning line right now and they hear it like to mess up tomorrow. As far as like the brew house, like I think that, I don't know, it goes back to like I feel like I know how to like tweak stuff to make it work for the process. Like I think those two things go hand in hand, and I feel very, very confident in asking questions if I don't understand something. And there are people who've been brewing way longer than I've been alive that I feel confident asking them questions. So like I think that that's where at least the brew house, the wort making part of it comes in. Recipe design, I don't know. Like I'll have an idea whenever it comes to the making stuff, but I still want other people to chime in. Like there's absolutely no point that I've been at yet where I'm just like, nope, this is all me. This is my recipe. Yeah. This is it. I need no other input, because whoever I'm asking, they're probably gonna have the beer. So like I want to know like how to make that the best representation of that. So
yeah. What has been your process for, you know, like growing as a brewer, knowledge acquisition, things like that?
Asking questions always. Like I go back to asking questions because there's plenty of classes and all of that, but if you need to know something that like you need to know the next day or right now, like there's not a class for like that kind of turnaround of like figuring out something that you don't know at the moment. Growth as a brewer, like I think just trying to learn as much, like be around different brewers, people who make different styles of beer than what you do at the place you work.
And you just got back from a course, right? Was it an MBAA thing?
Yeah, it was an MBA brewing and malting science course.
Nice. Where was that?
The in-person part was in Minneapolis.
Okay. Okay. How was that? Tell me about it. That's something that I've always wanted to be a part of.
It was sick. Like I think that was.
How long was it?
7. It was 7 or 8 weeks, and then 1 week was in person, and it was it was awesome. Like I have no negative feelings about that. I met so many cool people. Every topic was, even if I haven't gotten there yet, as far as like thinking about with, I don't know, anything that they were talking about, it was so helpful. And like, you can always go back to the people teaching it. And I think that is amazing. Like, I don't know about people who like went to college. Can they just reach out to a professor that they had 12 years ago and be like, hey, I have a question about whatever subject it is, and get a response? Like, I think that like these people work in the industry, care about it enough to come out there and just teach a bunch of people who probably think they know everything or like anything like that. Like, I just think that like it was such a good experience, and I learned so much. Like, it was, I rarely take notes. I'm not like a pen to pad learner, but like I feel like I absorbed so much just from being out there. Yeah.
You hit me with a message when I interviewed Jeff Biegert from New Belgium, and then what was the other? He's with Colorado State as well. And you said how much you enjoyed his talks. What were some of the things that you enjoyed, either about him as a presenter or as far as the content went?
Jeff was just so cool. Like, I think that like his personality mixed with like the beer nerd kind of thing was perfect for like the group of 25 people that he was speaking in front of for almost 4 hours. Like it was amazing. And like it wasn't like I'm being professional and I want to talk, and like he wasn't like this like professor with like the elbow pads. Like, he was a legitimate person talking about something he really, really cares about. And he gave his real opinions about a lot of things. And I think that is like very important, and backed it up. And like, I don't know if I don't know how many people use rice holes, but like he gave a very, very strong opinion on that, which is fuck rice holes.
What is okay? What's the deeper dive on that? I think that's interesting.
I think he was saying that like if you pay attention to like how you're graining in, mashing in, making sure that like your grain is hydrated, you don't need it. And fuck it, that's like it was flat out saying fuck a rice holes. That's like a cop out, and like so many of us. Like it's like one of those things that like hits so close to everyone in the class. I was just like, all right. And, like we all like felt bad and like you make jokes about it now of like, yeah, you know what? Like maybe we shouldn't be doing this. So like everyone like there's photos of like I used a little bit less today. So yeah.
There's a group chat where people are just sharing how they're weaning off of rice holes. Yeah. I like that. I like it. That's cool. So like a week long in person, and so the several weeks leading up to that, is it like kind of like webinars or like video lectures and things like that you listen to?
Yeah, it's like a live Zoom. There's a discussion post about various topics. Like I don't want to say essays, but like yeah, I sucked at college also. So like I did like as far as like learning that way wasn't really my thing, even whenever I was like younger. But like getting past like that part, not getting past it, but like learning how to cope with that to get into the in-person kind of thing. Like it was super helpful. But no, the weeks leading up to that, it was so many SMEs on different topics from like procedures, SOPs, safety, hops, yeast, like everything from start to finish whenever it comes to like being in a brewery. And the MBA has like I think maybe 5 or 6 other courses that go into a deeper focus on like certain things like packaging, brewery operations, like all of that stuff. I think the brewing and malting science part was just like an overall for like I don't want to say intro people. Yeah, I was sitting next to people who have been in beer for 15 years who had just never had any type of like formal training in it. So
what for you were some bullet points that you took away from that were things that you feel as if that you can bring back to the brewery, or maybe you had a better understanding after doing that course of some of the things that you were doing in the brewery?
I don't know if there was something that jumped out specifically for me to bring back to be like, oh, I can apply this, or if I was there with stuff that I was like, I hope that I'll learn something about this. Specifically, I think it was like grain handling. Again, I think grain hydration whenever it comes to like mashing in, like I think I couldn't read a book on that. Like I needed someone to talk to, like talk about that, like in person, and like let me, like okay, like let it click for me, like at that point. Yeah, because people like a lot of. I don't think that Zeroday is alone with this, but it's like this is our process. Yeah, and it's I can follow that, and it'll be the same way, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I still don't know why that is the way that it is. Yes. Yes. And once I understand that, I can apply that to different things and be like, okay, well, maybe we should do this if we're looking for a different outcome. Sure. Or if something isn't turning out the right way, like maybe let's start here because I can understand this part a little bit better.
Sure. You know, I think it's such an important thing too, where I think it can be easy when you're doing something one way for a long enough time, like there's not an end to what we're doing, right? Like there's not like a point where I think a big struggle for me in my brewing career was I always thought that there was going to be a time when I was going to be there, whatever there was, like fully formed as a brewer, right? And like have all the stuff figured out. And it can sound dumb or naive to say out loud, but in the back of my mind, that's what my expectation was for myself. And it was a really unhealthy way to approach it. Right. And then over time, I was able to back off of that and realize there's always going to be brewers that are smarter than me, that are better educated than me, that are more talented than me, and have more experience than me. But I can be on a path towards something, right? And so being able to go to a course like that and just saying, hey, like, it doesn't mean that like you have to try to like take everything that you're doing in the brewery at the time and strip it down to the studs and rebuild it. But there's always room. There's always room. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I agree with that so much. Like there are things that I still don't know how to apply to the brewery right now, but I have the resources to reach out to the people who talked about it and be like, hey, is this what you were talking about? I'm finally here now. Like
for sure.
2 years later or something like that. And I think that's cool.
Absolutely. So what are some of your goals like on the career side? And I'm not trying to make it sound like an interview, like a job interview, but like I do think it's important. One of the things that I'm really passionate about is talking on some level through a lens of, you know, how are we building a career? How are we building resiliency for ourselves in this space? Because we do have to do that, and we do have to kind of have that mindset. What are some ways or some like kind of some goals for yourself that you're setting, or some things that you're working on to get better as a brewer?
I don't know. I don't want to be like the same brewer that I was a year ago today. Like not in a, I want to be good. I want to be better like than anything personally, or like on a lens of like everyone else. Like I want to be good at what I do, because it is something that I chose to do for a career as a job right now. But I don't know. I want to be in a place where I still like what I do, and it's not just what I do to get a paycheck at the end of 2 weeks or at the end of a week. Like I still want to like the care I have for making work, looking at beer, making beer, like any of that. Like I don't want that to go away. Like
for sure.
I still want to like have that. I think that has to, like, that truly has to come from caring about it, because there's a trillion ways to make money, and I didn't have to pick the one that makes me stand up for 10 hours a day. So
and be able to lift 55-pound bags of grain. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So when you reflect back on the past couple of years with you on the brewing side of things, what's something that you feel as if that you feel proud of yourself for accomplishing, or something like that?
I feel like I have to say the canning line at this point. Like that's just, I mean, it really,
it's a beast, man.
Dude, it'll beat you if you let it. Like it 100% will. Yeah, I think that, like, I think a lot of the, like, once you get into like a rhythm and like you feel confident in like making wort, like I think that becomes a little bit easier, and then it's the other stuff of the fermentation schedule and like all of everything that leads up to it being in a keg or in a can. Like that's the part that I don't feel like I don't think I've aced that yet.
Sure.
Because that is like, that's in the cellar. A lot of people will take an eye, like everyone will take time to go check on that. But like if you're the one that's making the wort at the day, like that's all you. So like you give that a different level of like attention. That's the part that I really want to make sure that I sharpen going forward.
For sure. For sure. Well, this is cool, man. So, what if anybody's going to be passing through Harrisburg? What are some things that you have going on, beer wise, or anything else wise, at Zeroday that you're excited about?
If you're gonna be around Harrisburg, I think we're gonna try to release it on Black Friday. It's a bourbon barrel aged stout.
Nice.
Called Question. With an exclamation point at the end. Yeah, I'm a dark beer person, so definitely try that.
How long is that beer in barrels?
It's been in barrels, or it was in barrels for about close to a year.
Nice.
Yeah.
How big of a beer is it ABV wise?
It's not that big. It's 7.5%.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I always like things like that because I don't mind. I don't mind being. I don't know. I always feel like I drink, and especially when I was going from not being able to drink beer anymore to going to spirits and cocktails. I had to learn because I kind of drink at one pace. And so I always like when I can get like a more sessionable thing or whatever. So that's kind of unique for the barrel age side of things.
Oh yeah, I think it's cool. Like I think that like, especially if like the base is like still good in a beer, and then like you can age it in tequila or bourbon or anything like that, and that only adds to it without having that. I've said this before, like having that burden of like a double-digit ABV. It's like, oh, I can kind of sip this and like enjoy it if I want another one. Like I don't, like it doesn't feel like I'm having way too much, but you're still having like that experience, I guess.
For sure. I love it. Yeah, and one thing that I was surprised by, I've never been to a brewery that has a movie theater.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I remember when we got there because they had a big final. Well, it wasn't final. Well, it was the last night because it was only well, there was still more conference the next day, but it was kind of the big nighttime event through the conference was there, and there's a legit movie theater in there, and that's crazy to me.
Yeah, I'd never been to the movie theater until I started working for Zeroday also.
Really? You never been to a movie theater before that?
No, to that one.
Oh, to that. Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I see. Okay. All right.
Alabama has movie theaters.
I was going to say, man, I don't know. Where were you in Alabama? Oh, that's funny. Yeah, it's an interesting spot. So the production is in the back. There's a movie theater between, and then kind of the bar patio out on the other side. It's a pretty cool spot.
Yeah.
How often do they actually show movies there? Correct. That sounds like a dumb thing to say, but yeah, I mean,
yeah, I think they show movies 6 days a week.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Every day except Monday, and most of during a brew day. Yeah, I'm in there just sitting down, comfy seats. They're soft. It's dark. No one's in there. Like I could just relax. During a mash rest or a boil or something like that.
That's right. I'm in there. That's right. You get a little paperwork done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe
a little record keeping. Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Well, Maalik, man, I gotta tell you, this was a lot of fun. It was I had a blast getting to know you out at the conference. Yeah, good times. Do you want to know? Well, I should have asked you this ahead of time. Sometimes people do want to share. Sometimes people do want to share their social media handle and stuff like that. Do you want to share your social media handle if there's people that want to follow you?
Yeah, follow me at The Official Leak, LEK, or go on to Zeroday's account. I'm on there somewhere.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Also follow Adam Makes Beer. So you
right.
can find me easily. Yeah,
it's true. Yeah, tagged right there. It's true. Well, Maalik, this was awesome. I appreciate you making the time. If you're ever out in the Harrisburg area, make sure to get out there and support Zeroday. As far as Adam Makes Beer stuff, I'm rolling into the next week and a half is pretty busy. I'm going to be going down to Alabama, but actually I'm going to be brewing at Third Planet with Brian. If you've been following on YouTube, I dropped a video where I was talking with Brian from Third Planet, and we were talking about a lager that we're going to be brewing. That is going to be the brew day that I release for December. So that'll be coming up. I'm going to go down there. I'm going to visit my folks. I'm going to brew, and then we're going to be doing some more traveling over Thanksgiving. So I'm going to be moving around a bunch. So you might see a little bit less straight up podcast stuff, but we'll see how that goes. Anyways, I appreciate seeing everybody in the chat. Be safe at work, be good to your people, and we'll see you next time. Maalik, if you can hold on just real quick before we jump all the way off this thing. All right. Appreciate it again, man. Have a great night, everybody.
This feeling's deeper than an ocean, with a groove that's beating harder than my heart.